Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Musclemeds. Musclemeds is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Isolates. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. With me always, my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams can't be here today. I'm John Anderson. We have got a killer show for you today. Why? Because we have got an amazing guest. He is a top-notch international strongman, amazing strongman, absolutely loves the sport of strongman. He's one of the top UK strongmen. We'll go down in history as one of the top ever UK strongmen. He's broken many world records. Even after retiring, he still continues to entertain us. He has got a killer YouTube channel, which I'm a huge fan of. But the most important thing about this guest, he's got the best goddamn beard in the whole fucking sport of strongman. Big Laws, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
I am very good, buddy. How's things?
I'm doing great. You know, I got to tell you, I was really hoping you didn't come to the show and shave that beard, or we're going to screw up my introduction.
It's scruffy right now. I need to sort it out, but you know, Christmas is coming, so you know, it's a part-time job being Santa.
You could grade that up a little bit.
Yeah, get it a bit great. It's already coming, so you know, may as well just go for it.
I don't want to
let it go. Just, I love it. Well, brother, you've been at the top of the game for a long time, and one of the things that I've always loved and respected about you, and I know you've inspired a ton of people, is you've worked through a series of pretty good injuries. And you know, anybody at the top level is going to have some injuries, but you've been really good at working through them and coming back. So, talk to us a little bit about that. Obviously, some of the big ones, some of the little ones, but more importantly, give us your formula. How have you been so successful with, you know, negotiating some of these things and coming back so well?
Yeah, I think if you're going to choose strongman as a career, you're going to expect some injuries. I mean, Nick knows all about injuries as well. We've both had a fair few and managed many times. I think the most important thing, and it's something you don't always see these days. I think you have to love what you do. Now, you take guys like Nick and myself. We were training. And yourself, John, you know, we were training way before there was any recognition to train. You know, loved doing strongman because we just loved getting in the gym and testing ourselves and pushing ourselves to the limits. That's what it was all about. And it still is that for me. I still, even though I'm not kind of competing right now, I'm still setting myself challenges. I'm still in the gym working hard. I've entered a push-pull competition. I'll do arm wrestling. I'll do feats like grip feats and stuff like that. And who knows, I may do another show eventually, but I'm still enjoying what I do. And I think that's the key to being able to come back. If you enjoy it, then you find a way. A lot of people, I think they're coming into strongman just for recognition. It's becoming bigger. It's, you know, it's great to see that side of things. But Nick and myself will tell you, you know, it takes a long time to get the recognition through this sport. I mean, I've been doing it 20 years. Nick's been doing strongman just as long, and then powerlifting before that, and you know, other stuff. It's you have to love what you do. You know, there's gonna be times when you push to the limit. If you want to be good in something, you can't hold back. So, I guess the analogy I use quite often: if you're in a NASCAR race and you slow down by 5 miles just to get around safer, you're out of the race. So when you're competing at World's Strongest Man or against the best guys in the world, you have to push to the limits. The problem is when you push to the limits, you sometimes crash. You know, you sometimes have bad things happen, but you've got to be willing to go to that level. And that's, you know, sometimes it's proven the right thing to do. And I've pushed hard and I've won big major titles. Other times shit happens and you just go for it. You know?
Yeah.
I've sort of got to the
we
point
both been laying there at the same
it doesn't even
time.
upset me anymore. Whereas there was a time it was devastating. Now it's like, all right, I'll go and eat my tub of Ben and Jerry's. I'll sulk for 24 hours. And then the next day you make a plan, you find out exactly what's up, and then you make a plan to come back. And, we've all proven you can come back from injuries.
Amen. Yes, we have. And it's amazing to see some of the ones you've come back from. I remember when we were in China and we are both laying on like side by side after the squat event, just looking at each other, shaking our heads. And it's just like, all right, here we go.
Similar ones. I mean, you just did your lat recently. I did my lat back in 2014, going for a world record on the deadlift. It's just, we're in a dangerous sport. I don't really think I've been injured more times than other strongmen. I just seem to have always been injured at World's Strongest Man, which happens to be the show that everyone sees.
Totally.
So that's probably why I've sort of got this reputation of being the guy that gets injured. But loads of the guys get injuries. I'm actually pretty good in the gym. I don't tend to get too many injuries in the gym. It's just when I push to that absolute limit. And particularly when I was younger, I just didn't have an off switch. I just pushed myself as hard as I could. And like I said, sometimes shit happens.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the way to have a good career, long career. I mean, goddamn, Nick and I, we started lifting weights in like the early 80s, 1982, 83, and the philosophy has to be, you've got to be able to train hard in the gym, but you hang it out in competition. If you get hurt there, you get hurt there. It's just that's the way it works. But again, I think the cool thing with you is you've been, like you said, yours are always on display on television, so everybody got to see it. But what was more important was that you inspired so many people by coming back from these things, because I don't think people tend to recognize the type of injuries that a strength athlete goes through. And, so you've been a really good display of showing people that, hey, you can have an injury and you can come back, and you can, like you said, you can have a day of sulking and make your plan to get back in action. So that's been that's really good for people to see, because obviously we all want to inspire others to be the best versions of themselves.
Absolutely, John. I was told after I tore my lat that I would never achieve anything. I'd never beat certain athletes in the UK. I may as well give up. And after that, I came back and I went on to win my biggest titles. I won Europe's Strongest Man. I won the Ultimate Strongman World title, broke world records. So you shouldn't be sitting there listening to what people say. If you believe you can do it, and you're enjoying it and you're working hard, keep fighting for those goals. It's easy to, if you give up, then you're guaranteed never to succeed. But if you keep trying, keep pushing, keep putting the work in, then you can get there. You just got to keep believing, keep fighting hard.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And it's having the determination and the will, and then being smart with your training at the same time when you're coming back from injuries. You have to be methodical in your training when you're coming back from an injury, and just keep moving it through the steps to get where you were, and then to surpass where you were. You can become even better. In your case, you became even better, but we've both become better. Actually, since we've had some major injuries.
One thing you have to do if you get, these type of things happen, you have to learn from them. And that's, what 100%. I know a lot more about training now than I did back then. I was balls to the wall, all shit, didn't care about anything. It was just, I knew how to work hard, but that was it. And then you start realizing, well, okay, that's not the smartest way to train. You start having to, focus on technique. You understand about periodizing your training, so you're not always going super heavy, and you learn to peak for competitions, and you keep putting research in. Every single time I got injured, I'd be on the internet researching things. Well, how can I make sure this doesn't happen again? And, how can I eat better? What kind of supplements can I take, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of those injuries made me become a better coach that maybe if I didn't have, it wouldn't have got me to where I am today.
Well, one thing you said, brother, that was so key, that, you cannot listen to the people that tell you can't do it, because anytime you get banged up, or if you think back to the beginning of all of our journeys, people always told us we couldn't do it. And then when you get injured, they really tell you can't do it. The last thing you got to do is listen. There's always going to be more people that say you can't than you can. So you need to block those. I love the fact that you brought that to part of your equation, because, for those people out there listening,
there's more people that are going to talk shit about your recovery process than than people are going to give
Yes,
you,
they are.
you know, the high five. And that being said, you know, here again, you're listening to a international high player here who's done it, and this is the formula, you know. So I love to hear it, brother. The inspiration that you give to those, you know, young athletes coming up, working through injury is phenomenal, and it's great. I love to see it, you know.
Thank you, man.
Well, here's something that's kind of crazy that people don't seem to realize too. How many World's Strongest Men have you done? 11 or
11.
12?
I did 11.
11.
I qualified for 12, but I missed 2012 due to injury.
Yeah. So we're in a smaller group of people who've done it more than 10 times. There's only 7 people who've done it over 10 times.
Yeah.
7. There's fewer,
that's crazy.
there's less of us than there are actual winners of the contest.
Yeah.
It's that hard to do. And to for your knowledge on physio yourself, on what that is and what that takes, it is absolutely amazing. And that's what people need to learn, is how to repair and how to read their bodies. And you've learned how to read your body pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, we've all three of us have seen people come and go in the sport. You know, I've seen
boy.
the amount of next big things, or you know, I never we all get the question. Oh, I'm 16 and I'm pulling 400 pounds. Is that any good? I don't care if it's good or not. I care if you keep developing and keep getting better, because you could be pulling 800 pounds at 16, but if you're not competing at 20, it doesn't matter. And
True.
You know, we've seen some incredible youngsters come into the sport but do nothing because they've burnt out and got injured and then not come back from those injuries. You've got to keep progressing, and that's what.
Or break as they're trying to come in.
Yeah, you see it all the time. They go too hard, they push too hard, and by the time they're 25, they're spent.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, you mentioned early on that there's a love. When you have a love for what you're doing, you're not just chasing, you know, praise. You're doing it when nobody's looking, and that's the difference. You know,
it made me laugh because I sort of announced that I was retiring from International Strongman, and I think people just thought I was going to stop training. I'm still training 4 days a week. I love training. I'm never going to stop training. I'm always going to get in the gym and do something. It's just I wanted to focus on other things rather than trying to win World's Strongest Man in international competitions. But I'm always going to train because it's just part of who I am, and I love it.
Yeah, that's so true. It's very true. I mean, I think I'd heard you say in a video on your channel, because I love watching your channel, you'd basically talked about how you're having training with a purpose makes training a little different. And that's something I feel the same way. You know, I love to train, but there's a certain period of time I can go without having like a goal attached to it. Then that's a real easy way to make it fun again.
I just had to do that myself. I was like, okay, I was ticking along. You know, John's been helping me with my nutrition and stuff. And I'm not someone, I don't care about stepping on stage as a bodybuilder or anything like that. I just want to get fitter. I want to look a bit better. But I struggle with just training for how I look. So I've entered a push-pull competition just to give me something to focus on. But I've done it at a lighter body weight. So I'm doing it at a reduced weight class. So it's going to be about 50 pounds lighter than I was last time I competed. So it's just a little challenge to try and hit the same type of numbers, but 50 pounds. I'll be 60 pounds less at the time. And I think I can at least get close. I'm looking forward to the challenge. And it's suddenly, today was my first session of my new training block, and I loved it. I was in there. I was excited. I felt like I'm doing what I love doing.
Welcome to the 140s.
It's going to be fun.
That's awesome. I love it. So on that level, brother, talk, you retired and then you came back. I mean, talk just a little bit about that. You know, that's obviously, that's clear. The love is clearly shown there, but going through the retirement and then deciding to come back, kind of talk just about what was your mindset through all that?
Well, 2019 was always in my head going to be my last show. I wanted to sort of go out of World's Strongest Man. The plan was to make another final, felt in good shape. Training was going really well. I felt really strong. And it was one of those competitions where it just went to shit. First event, it was a very long day. And World's Strongest Man is like that. It's very different to any other show. I messed up on the first event, and then there was a real long wait between the next two events. Didn't eat right, kind of cramped up a little bit, ended up tearing my Achilles on a 610 kilo super yoke, like, I don't know, 1,000 to 1,300 pounds. We were told it'd be 1,000 pounds. I don't know what Nick's like, but if I'm training for a real heavy yoke, I need to train for it. I need to sort of condition my body for that kind of weight. I was expecting to be a lighter yoke, focusing more on speed, and then they changed it when we got to the contest. I thought it was a bad call to change it. A lot of people ended up getting hurt on it. Unfortunately, I got really badly hurt on it. Completely tore my Achilles. Devastating way to go out of, what was supposed to be your last competition. And I got myself in quite a low place mentally for a while, but managed to sort of focus on new things. I've been set up businesses. I've focused on the YouTube stuff, doing quite well with all that. But at my heart, I'm a natural competitor, and I just had this little voice in the back of my head saying, you need to do one more show. And then I got this opportunity to compete in the Royal Albert Hall, which it's like the Madison Square Garden for the UK. It's an incredibly historic venue. They've had so many amazing events there. So I just couldn't turn down this opportunity. So I had 12 weeks to train for it. I was out of shape, and within 12 weeks, got myself into a decent position, went to the show. It was amazing. Sold out arena full of knowledgeable strongman fans that were going absolutely ballistic for me, which for me, it meant a lot, because and you guys as well, we've competed in those many shows where you've got a few mates watching in a car park. So historic arena, everyone there, standing ovation, going absolutely mental. My mum was there, my daughter, my wife, everyone kind of that supported me over the years. It just meant a lot. And I put in a solid performance, beat Tom Stoltman on 3 of the events, who's the current world's strongest man. I performed pretty well. I wasn't at my best. I didn't expect to be at my best, but it wasn't really about that. It was just about showing I could still do it one last time and going out the right way for me. And it was amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing it on TV. It should be on within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's Christmas time. Yeah. Christmas time in the UK. Yeah. It's World's Strongest Man time.
Strong man on
That's
TV.
Great, brother. Going out your way. That's really cool, because it's one thing to have it kind of stripped away and always wonder. And it's another thing to say, you know what, I'm going to strap it up one more time. I'm going to get in shape, and I'm going to do it my way. That's again, another highly, highly inspirational element of your career for, those youngsters coming up, so it was very cool.
I managed to put some of the youngsters in their place as well still. So, it's always fun. Nick knows all about it.
Always fun to do. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun to do. especially when we get after people in the yoke.
Yeah.
We both like that event, that's for sure.
Oh, boy, do we.
Well, both of you guys were just like the top of the top in moving events. I mean, goodness, for to have two guys that are the top of the top of moving events right here. I mean, you guys were it, I mean, Nick, you had world records back in the old IFSA days, and Waz, talk to us about world records. Talk to us about yours, Big Waz. Talk to us about some of your world records. I know some I believe you still have some, and some have been broken, but talk us through those. You had a lot of them.
A number of world records. I've got world records in farmers walks, yokes, car walks, grip events. At one time, I had the axle world record overhead. Some, annoying guy called Zdrunas Saviskas went and beat it, 5 minutes after I broke it. But that happens when you compete against one of the greatest of all time. But I like records, but I prefer winning titles. They mean more to me than the records.
They last forever. That's the kind of cool thing about them. Is once you have it, it never goes away. Someone's gonna eventually beat a world record, but once you have the title, it's never going anywhere.
I was putting some research in, and out of all the British athletes, I'm second in terms of who's won the most international events. So Jeff Capes is the first. Jeff Capes has won 10 international shows, and I'm second, winning 8 internationals. So it's not bad when you think of the great athletes we've had from the UK.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
That's
utterly amazing.
Hence the introduction, brother. One of the top world, top UK strongman going down in history. You're definitely there, my brother. Talk to us about your favorite world record. Obviously, titles is more important, but you've got to have a favorite world record. Like I know you did some stuff with some old time strongmen.
I think my favorite world record was when I did the 600 kilo yoke in Dubai. Actually, it was 580 kilos, so slightly less. But we had, other than Nick, we had like all the top guys on the yoke there. Kiliashkovsky was there. We had, Terry Hollands, Zydrunas, Brian Shaw, Hafthor Bjornsson, all the top guys in the world. And I absolutely obliterated everyone. So when you've got those guys coming up to you saying that was absolutely amazing, that means something to me. When the general public say it doesn't have that same weight as when Zydrunas comes up to you and says, Loz, that was truly awesome. So that was a good one. I loved having the car walk world record. It's just a cool event. And I broke it when I won Europe's Strongest Man. But yeah, I'd probably say the yoke, just because of who I was up against, the standard that I was competing against, and how much I beat everyone by. That's probably the biggest one for me.
Yeah, and like you're saying, to have somebody like Zydrunas come validate it doesn't get any better than that. In my opinion, he's the greatest strongman to ever live, and I believe you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I think his longevity and everything that he's won and the records, and for me, he's the greatest. I think we've had so many great guys, but I would put him at the top. So yeah, for me, having him tell me something was awesome it's a nice feeling. It's like Ronnie Coleman coming to tell you your physique's looking absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
I love it.
So what was your least favorite event out of all the events that you've ever done? What was the one that made you the most miserable after doing it?
Oh, well, considering you're here, I've got to talk about our loading event in 2010. Nick Best and myself in Sun City. We were doing this loading event on sand, and we're both sweating buckets. Our grip's totally gone. I think our calluses were like cut, you're bleeding from your hand. And we're trying to load these sacks, these kegs onto this platform. Every step you take in the sand, your energy is being drained. Normally, we'd fly through these. If it was on normal kind of asphalt or something, you just fly through it, no problem. But on the sand, and it was the last event, it's sweaty, it just made it awkward. And I think we're passing each other all the time. I don't think either of us managed to load that last one, did we?
Neither one of us, yeah.
It was just,
you beat me on the first keg, and I freaked out, and I literally felt like I took 5 steps to the other side of the course, and then hockey stopped. I grabbed the other keg and took off, and I got the next 2 kegs up quick, and then I had the third keg going, and I just ran out of gas and tore off the callus on my hand. And you just kept coming up that hill, and I'm just going, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me! He's going to come up this hill and he's going to load it." I kept trying. I probably tried to load it 3 times.
At the time, I watched that event over and over again to motivate me and never let it happen again. I actually went to the gym, and this disabled guy sat in his chair was going, "Why didn't you just load that last keg?" I was like, "Get out of your damn chair and do it." I can't do it. But it motivated me. And, losing that event to Nick, it wasn't that it was against Nick, but I made the final of Worlds 2009. 2010, I was a little bit cocky and thought I could hold back in the heats and make the final. That's a stupid thing to do because you're up against the best in the world. You learn from it. But I came back in 2011 and had my best year at Worlds. And internationally, I did very, very well. So I used it to motivate me and just kind of kept watching it, made me go to the gym, made me work harder. Aside from that event, just because I remember it so clearly, I've always hated the duck walk. I just think it's the stupidest event on the planet. It makes big men waddle along like ducks, and you end up with these huge bruises on your legs. It should just be banned. But yeah, I have a personal vendetta against duck walk.
That's awesome. I'd have to
But
say the
it's
launch
not-
for me.
Well, going to the duck walk, it's not exceptionally exciting to watch. It's, of course, usually it's set up in a race format, but it's different to watch a big tire be flipped or drag a chain. The duck walk, like you said, it's just pretty goofy,
It is. It's not,
But,
you're not lifting a huge weight either. It's just waddle along like this, and we're 300+ pound men looking like idiots.
When your brain's all rattling around inside your head because you're bouncing back and forth so much too. You're kind of dizzy when you get done with the course.
Yeah, I've got big legs as well, so it just didn't work for me. I just thought this event is stupid. We can't like everything, right?
No.
Yeah, that's it. So your grip, you are renowned for grip. Go back to the beginning. Is this something that you just had? Did you have a great grip from the time you were young? Or is this something you developed through the course of your training?
I had a decent grip. I wouldn't say it was like the best, but it was decent. But I happened to, one of the first places I trained at was a place called the Way Consortium. And the guy that owned it, all he did was grip. He had like all these different grip tools and stuff. He's one of these guys that competes in grip competition, a guy called Steve Gardner. And he sort of introduced me to a lot of different grip training. And I found I enjoyed it and got really good. Broke a number of records in grip. I used to have the 2-hand pinch world record. I'm good at sort of weird grip things, and I enjoy training them. It's something that doesn't take too much out of me to train grip. I can still, hang with the top guys now. Did some grip tonight, actually. It's just one of those things. I think as a strongman, you need to have a strong grip. We see too many shows where they're doing like frame walks with straps and stuff like that. I'd rather see it without. I know Nick will do the same as well. And it does change the event.
Absolutely.
It can completely change the event if you take those straps out. So, enjoyed it. It was fun. Just various different things. I've always liked challenging myself with different events. So whether it's lifting massive weights or lifting smaller weights, doing it, in an awkward way, odd lifts, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, arm wrestling. I just like it all. So being in this gym and having the bits of kit readily available to me, it just helped me develop my grip quite quickly. Yeah,
I've seen you do some pretty cool stuff, like the sledgehammer, taking that sledgehammer back, give it a kiss and stand it back up. Look, for kids, if you've seen that video, don't try it at home. You'll lose your teeth.
Don't do that. Yeah.
That's more of like just a show thing. It's not so hard.
Totally.
But, yeah, some of the other stuff is a lot harder. And I just, even now, still like challenging myself, trying to beat targets. I mean, I went up to Scotland, did the Dinny Stone world record, which was after competing at the Giants live show. So that was great fun to do that. I'd like to do more things like that as well. Just, Nick and myself, both good grip, but good at moving with weights as well. A lot of people are like, Mark Felix would destroy you on that. He probably wouldn't. Mark never really beat me at Farmers Walks. Even though his grip's so good, he doesn't move as well as Nick and I do when it comes to carrying weights. So I think you need that combination on those type of events.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you have to be able to move your feet quick and accelerate with the weight as well, and not just hold on to it.
Yeah.
And Mark's no slouch at it. Don't get me wrong.
He's good. Mark is good. I just think we were better.
Yeah, we're just quicker. So, my question to you is this: how much of a transition when you're getting into the commentating? Are you practicing that? Because you got to fill time. Something goes wrong at a show, you're sitting there talking, filling time, and not just having static air. How difficult is it to prepare for something like that and get used to doing it?
At first, I wouldn't really say I practice. I mess around sometimes. If I'm bored at home, I might see my friends lifting or something and just commentate a little bit just to have a bit of fun with it. But I don't really practice. I try to put in research so I know. I mean, the top competitions are easy. I know all the guys anyway. I've competed against them for so many years. It's not so hard. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say because I know most of them. I know what they've done. Yourself, Nick, we've got that insight of what it's like to compete at World's Strongest Man or what it's like to compete at a Giants Live. I think when you've got that experience firsthand, it makes it easier. I'm not a bad talker as well, so I think that helps with the commentating. But just doing it more often has helped. At first, whenever you do something new, you're a bit nervous. You stumble over your words. I'm so laid back that I don't really care now if I make a mistake. Whereas I think when I first got into it, you're so nervous and you don't want to make a mistake and you feel this pressure that it kind of makes you stumble a little. Now, if I mess up, I just roll with it. Most 99% of the time, people don't even realize anyway. So
yeah,
I think it's just practice. I feel more confident doing it now. First time I did it, it was nerve-wracking, but I think the more you do it, and at the end of the day, I'm sat there talking about a sport I love. It's not that hard.
Oh, for sure. Well, you just did OSG, and there was 260 competitors. So OSG, it's going to be harder.
OSG was a lot harder because there's so many competitors. It's such long days. I think I ended up doing 20 hours of commentary.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And you don't know all the athletes as well. So that's a little bit more tricky. But I was lucky enough working with Radzi. He's really great. I think if you've got someone good you bounce off, it's much easier. And then doing the YouTube channel and stuff, you start getting more confident being in front of a camera and talking. And, it's like anything. I think the more you practice, the better you get.
Yeah, I would say for sure. And like I said, you're talking about something you love, that makes it pretty damn easy,
Absolutely.
It's not like you're talking about geometry or something, it's like,
then we'd be screwed.
So here's another question for you. Are you going to sit at home with the family and have your friends and stuff over when World's Strongest Man's on? Are you going to turn off the sound and commentate it yourself? Because the funny thing is Frank Mears, one of my friends, and he's actually done that. I've watched him turn the TV volume down and commentate it right there. And it was absolutely amazing. Just wondered if you're going to try to do that during Christmas.
I wasn't thinking about it, but now maybe that's a good YouTube video. I'll do my alternate commentary for World's Strongest Man.
See, there you go. That would be great content, actually.
Well, that's perfect, because I was the next thing I was going to ask you about is your YouTube channel.
Sorry.
You've done some amazing stuff with the YouTube, the videos that you create, obviously, coverage, but also, just coming up with cool ideas for videos. This is what's your inspiration behind all this? Obviously, you love the sport, but how do you come up with some of these really interesting concepts? It's just like you're on the toilet one day and you go, "Oh my God, I better write this down."
I mean, I'm very lucky to have my wife working on it with me, and she's great. I mean, without her, there's no YouTube channel because I'm a technophobe. I can do basics on a computer, but I can't edit videos and stuff like that. She does all the hard work to make it look a lot better than it would be if it was just the raw footage that you'd get from me. And we sort of, we kind of bat ideas to each other. I'm also a big wrestling fan. I'm a big mixed martial arts fan. I watch a lot of other types of channels or types of sport, and I take ideas from them. So, you pick up ideas that, all right, people in that sport were interested in that for their athletes. I wonder if the strongman fans would be interested in seeing something similar. So I do sort of follow what other sports are doing, see what's popular, and try and pick up ideas that way. And then now I'm at a stage where people just send me ideas, they're things that they want to see. It's hard. Sometimes you kind of just sat there thinking, what the hell am I going to do a video on today?
You've got a ton of content.
That could be challenging.
How many videos do you have, brother? You got a ton of content.
We're over 600. Yeah.
I heard the wife come in the background and help you out there. I love it. Just like you said. I heard her whisper 600.
She's the one. It's been amazing though. We've been able to, she was working for a retail company. Now she's full time on that. So it's been really cool. We see a lot more of each other. Whereas before, when I was training, she was getting up at 4 a.m. She'd get back, I'd go train. We just never saw each other. Whereas now we're able to travel to different places. She came to OSG with me. She was out in Dubai with me. So it's nice. We're, you're not making millions of money from it, but we're having a much nicer lifestyle from it, and it's nice.
Yeah. And for anybody out there who's been living under a rock, it's Big Laws Official. That's the YouTube channel. It's it's cool, man. It's cool, man. I tell you, if you enjoy strongman, you can subscribe to that channel, and you're going to find something that interests you, hands down. You know,
I'm a strongman fan. I always have been, and then I go into competitor mode or I go into fan mode. I don't have I have to separate them. I can't be fan and competitor. So it's one of the reasons I had to stop competing, because I literally change when I'm competing against someone. I was like, there's no way Nick Best is going to beat me. I'm going to beat this guy. Whereas when I remove myself from the competition, I can be like, damn, I want Nick Best to smash this comp. That mentality changes, and I can go back to just enjoying watching it. And that's been a nice thing to do. I can watch what other guys are doing. I do my prediction videos and stuff like that. Sometimes I upset people. So, I don't really care. I just give an honest opinion. And I think that's what people appreciate. I think as fans, we'll often just pick our favorites, whereas I won't do that. I'll pick who I think is going to win based on events, based on who's in form. So I think I do pretty well with it. I mean, Liz is probably even better than me at the predictions. But it's a fun thing, when you watch a boxing match, it's nice to sort of debate who you think is going to win. And, as a fan, you like the polls, and it's just, I'm just trying to create the same thing with strongman, build more hype to these different events rather than it just being, it's on TV and that's it. That people go to the show, then they want to come and watch the YouTube channel afterwards and see what we've got to say about it. And it just creates a bigger experience for the whole fans, viewing pleasure, if you like.
Love it. So since you're talking about predictions, let's put you on the spot. Give us what you think what do you see in the next few years in the sport of strongman? Who do you see kind of ruling the roost? What do you see happening?
I actually think we're in a generation right now where we're going to see multiple different winners. I don't think we're going to have too many people dominating the sport. We had 8 years of Brian and Zydrunas back and forth, winning the Arnolds and winning World's Strongest Man. I mean, guys may be able to sneak a title in there, but right now we're in a stage where, if you just look at this year, we've had multiple different winners. Trey Mitchell won a big event. Tom Stoltman, Lissis, Novikov, Evan Singleton, got lots of different winners of these big events. And I think, things like World's Strongest Man, it's getting hard to predict. There's so many good guys, and you can't really predict until you see the events. That's one of the
events, the weights, and the distances too. Yeah, I mean, you could see an event, but a guy that would do good with the light yoke might not do good with a heavy yoke.
Absolutely.
Same with the farmers. So you got to see everything to actually give a fairly decent prediction.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what I always wait for. I wait to see the events. Then I'm sort of looking at, who's in shape? What have people done this year? Because Jerry, for instance, Jerry Pritchett is an amazing strongman, but he's had a bad year. He's, 2020 was awesome. 4th at Worlds, performing really well. Picked up some injuries, and he's not been the same guy this year. He needs a bit of time off. If he gets himself back in shape, he's going to be dangerous. It's one of those sports, year to year, athletes can change. Nick and myself have been like that. One year we're awesome, the next year you're not so good. And it's
not so much.
It's just part of being an athlete. You can't maintain that peak level for forever.
Talk just a little bit about this younger generation coming through. There's been a lot of younger winners in the last, it seems like the sport is being, it's being specialized from the time that people are much younger now. So you have guys like Zydrunas, who was one of those guys that started was really young. And so he's got so much experience. But now, there's tons and tons of young strongmen that are being brought up in training the events. I mean, do you see that to be kind of the future of having a whole bunch of sub 30 World's Strongest Man winners?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see younger and shorter careers as well. I think they're two things that we're going to see. I don't think you're going to see the Nick Bests, Mark Felixes, the Zydrunases that have these really long careers. I mean, you still may see them, but we're going to see a lot more guys that I think have a 5-year career in strongman, because if you look at the weights that they're lifting now, it's extremely taxing on the body. I don't think you can maintain that type of level for too long. You look at guys like Nick, Mark Felix, Adrinas, they progress slowly over a long period of time. It wasn't that they came in and just dominated. They got better slowly. Whereas now you're seeing guys like, if guys can't do a 440-pound log now, they think they're not very good. And you can't if you're only a 900-pound deadlifter, you may as well go home. You're not strong. I see like comments like that from people. It cracks me up. But speaking to a lot of the guys, understanding how they push themselves, their mentality, I think we're going to see shorter careers. I don't think we're going to have the guys that go for 10, 15, 20 years anymore. I think it's get in, win what they want to win, and get out.
Yeah, I can see that.
A lot of guys having the discipline to only do a few shows either. A lot of the guys, Achilles' heel is they come in, they do really good, they win a show or they place really high, and then they end up doing like 5 to 8 more shows in that year that are super heavy. Not that are just random shows, but that are really hard shows, and it just destroys them. It really shortens their career. When you get to that international elite level, you have to pick and choose, no more than probably 4 super heavy contests in a year. 3's probably the best number, actually.
Yeah,
and then maybe some smaller ones.
People look at Zadrunas and Marius Pudzianowski and see how many shows they did. But when they were competing, those shows were much lighter.
Yeah.
Now they're all super heavy, hard shows where every show is stacked full of great athletes. It's there's no easy shows anymore. You can't just turn up and have a training session.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very true. So with all of your injuries, brother, we've all gone through injuries, and I'll be the first to admit, when I was injured, I ended up having some issues with painkillers. You get, your doctor gives you painkillers, you use them to get you through your rehab. Well, next thing you know, you're not taking the pill to deal with the pain. You're doing it to feel normal. Were you able to keep all that under control with your career? Did you have bouts? I mean, I had multiple bouts with it, so I'm not throwing you under the bus. Well, I think everybody has to some extent.
I think you do go down that route. I've always tried to avoid it. There have been a few times where the pain has just been excruciating, and you end up kind of having to self-medicate almost, and get yourself through it. But I've always been disciplined enough to try and remove things as soon as I can. I've seen it in too many guys that got addicted to just the pain relief, and then it destroyed their careers. So luckily, I've learned from seeing what other people have done and been able to avoid it.
And clearly, the discipline that you had to have the lengthy career, that discipline is what allowed you to step away from that. For me, that was it. I consider myself extremely disciplined, and if I didn't have that discipline, I would be, that shit would have ended my career. Well, I probably wouldn't be lifting weights anymore.
I could have easily gone down that route. I mean, bless him. I never really got on with my father, and he was a drug addict. So rather than going down that route, it kind of put me off it because of the way that he was, the way he was treating the family and stuff like that. I've been through a lot of shit from a young age because of it. So it really kind of made me want to avoid that as much as possible and make sure, I wanted to make sure my family was looked after and provided for and secure, because I didn't want them to go through what I did as a youngster with my dad the way he was. So I think it can make you go one of two ways. You can either kind of follow it, for me, it was like, all right, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah, brother. I learned more lessons from my dad on what not to do rather than what to do. Yeah. Sometimes those are the lessons you need, and I'm very thankful because there's a couple lessons he gave me of what not to do that if I didn't have those, I would not be the same person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
You end up having to learn young as well. So it's tough lessons, but I wouldn't want my kids to go through some of the things that I did early on. But it makes us who we are. So I never have regrets these days. I try to stay positive and You know, everything has led me to where I am now. So I can't complain.
So you've had such a long career. I'm assuming, I'll let you tell me, I would assume that you must have really limited things like alcohol and things of, a lot of times people indulge in that, and it can also kind of be burning the candle on both ends. What was in terms of, forgive the term, legal substance? For me, I've always been, just don't do it because I'm better off that way. Were those guys that could balance, having a few beers through your career? Or you
when
just
I was
keep
younger, I used to like going out, getting drunk and having a party and stuff like that. But as I sort of developed and got a bit older in my career, I completely stopped drinking. I sort of, it's not like I never had a problem with alcohol, but it was just, I was going out for the sake of going out, trying to be sociable, trying to hang with, friends and stuff like that. And I mean, you two probably get the same. My friends from school, they're great people, but they don't get me. They're not the same sort of, mindset as I am. I don't really get much out of going out and getting drunk other than broke because you're spending way too much money on stuff that you don't really like.
Exactly.
By the time I was sort of had my first daughter, she's 12 now. So, I didn't want to wake up with a hangover, and then ever since I've had her, I've drank very little. I've gone through years not touching drink at all, 3-4 years at a time where I just don't have it. I'm not someone that, if I'm going to a party or something, I might have the odd drink, but it's something I've avoided as much as possible.
Yeah, that's something that you said that's really key is we all have friends that just they're just not goal oriented like we are. So it doesn't really take away from, there's no element in stripping them, as to where for us, waking up with a hangover, your recovery is severely altered.
Exactly.
You also got to realize your liver and your kidneys filter everything out of your body. Yes. If you drink while you're training, you're going to add 2 and 3 days to your recovery time. Yeah. And if that's I sold beer for 18 years. I've been in the beer business, but I wouldn't drink more than 1 or 2 beers a week. I love the nuances of it. I love the work that goes into it, how they get the flavoring and stuff like that. But it's just, me personally, it's not my thing to drink. And I can sell it, but I'm not going to drink it.
Yeah, you find a lot of us, I think, are like that. Our minds are different to the average person. I mean, I see people and they're like desperate to have like a glass of wine at night. I'm thinking, do you need to have wine to just enjoy yourself? Like, I like my wife, so I'm kind of happy to talk to her. I don't need to get drunk to have a good time with her.
You break that down. It's kind of interesting because a person that can't wait to have that glass of wine, their daily life is less interesting than that glass of wine. That's kind of a sad existence. We've all lived in the world where we're doing what we love. So, having that drink is not the pinnacle of our day, but for some poor souls out there, that's the way it is.
No problem to people if that's what they want to do. It's just not for me. That's all. There's other things I want to do. I want to try, achieve my goals, focus on what I want to do. And it just seems to me having a glass of wine every night is wasting time. It's not allowing me to achieve the goals that I've set myself.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, the act of having a glass of wine, of course, drinking a glass of wine once in a while is one thing, but having that glass of wine is time. You're losing focus. For me, even a little bit of alcohol, I don't sleep well.
I guess my vice, I drink way too much black coffee. I just drink coffee all the time. Keeps me going, keeps me working. It wakes me up. I definitely have too much coffee.
Coffee addict.
I'm right there with you. I drink a lot of coffee during the day.
More than I should.
Sometimes. Yeah, exactly. Pot and a half.
I'm the same way. We got 3 different types of coffee makers in our house. We got the espresso machine, the Nespresso machine. I can't remember what they call the little pod you put in there. What's that one called? So I'm kind of a coffee connoisseur too, brother. So You could do it with wine and you could do it with coffee. All the different types of coffee is, this way it smells, and and it's a much more productive habit, for goodness sakes.
Definitely.
Very much so.
Yeah, I love it. So, what's the goal? Talk to me about the goal in terms of the future of your YouTube channel, because, like you said, you shifted focuses. You're not competing. You're obviously acting as a fan with your channel, which gives you a much different perspective. Which, again, like I've said, I love your channel. What's the goal? What's the big picture?
The goal is to keep promoting strongman as much as I can. I want to see strongman on a much higher level. I want to see guys getting paid well. I want to see big shows. I want to see it, be much more popular than it is, because it's growing, but it's still not where I think when you're involved in it, you think it's bigger than it is, but it's really not that big still. It's improved loads, but in terms of the grand scheme, it's still not where it wants to be. I want to see strongman shows in arenas with 40,000 people watching or 50,000.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I want to see, comparing it to some other sports. In the UK, we've got darts. I love darts, but 500 grand for the winner of the darts world championships, compared to I think World's Strongest Man has just gone up to 70. It was 45 last time Nick and myself competed there. So I want to see that side of it improve. I want to see more people get involved in it, and it's starting to do that. Brian Shaw does a good job getting more people involved in the sport with his channel, and Nick and Brian, when they were on the History Channel, that got more people into it. Anything like that, more fans, more people interested. The bigger the sport gets, the better it is for all of us, and that's the main goal. Keep it growing, keep things getting bigger, keep people's interest, keep promoting the sport as well as I can, and just stay involved.
And it comes from the love of the sport. So obviously you're wanting the sport to grow because it was a big part of your life, and you want to see it grow for, generations to come, potentially come and make a great living for their family. So I love the selflessness of how, you do this because of course you love it, but you're also doing it because you genuinely want to see the sport grow. If there was a lot more people like that involved, it may be growing a little faster. Everybody's looking for a quick piece of the pie.
I loved the at the Rogue Invitational. It was like $133,000 for first prize, by far the biggest prize money we've ever seen in strongman. I thought that was brilliant, and I want to see that grow and get better. Don't get me wrong, I want to be a part of that. I want to be paid to go and do the commentating at these events and make a little bit of money.
Absolutely.
I want us all to grow from it, and the way we do that is to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. So go back in history. When was Little Laws just basically decided that this is it for me? I've fallen in love with strongman. Talk that moment through for us.
Strongman in the UK has always been a big thing at Christmas. They've always put World's Strongest Man on TV at Christmas. And I go back, I remember watching O.D. Wilson pull a truck. And, just being inspired by this huge man pulling his truck. I was just blown away. I was like, how can anyone do that? This is incredible. And I was just hooked from then. I watched World's Strongest Man every year. But I did a lot of sports as a kid. I was British champion at Kung Fu. I played rugby for the Southwest. A good track and field athlete. So always sporty. But I never got into the gym until I was 21. And I was watching Britain's Strongest Man on TV, and you guys all know Ollie Thompson.
Yep,
know him.
Yeah, he. I just thought this guy looks amazing. He's really strong. I want to do what he's doing, and I literally, from watching that show, I went and joined a gym, and within 6 months, I found a competition. And
how old were you at this point? I was
21 at this point. So I've been watching Man as a kid from, I guess, maybe 7, 8 years old, watching World's Strongest Man on TV. It was O.D. Wilson was the first memory I can kind of think of. I knew it was O.D. because it's the only black guy back then. So, you got to be careful saying that, but I was inspired by him. I thought he was amazing. And, then I started watching Magnus Samuelsson. Magnus Samuelsson was my favorite strongman. I really loved watching him. And then the likes of Sven Carlson, Marius Pudzianowski, Hugo Girard, those kind of guys were just amazing. But it wasn't until I was 21, because like I said, I was playing other sports at the time, but I was just like, I've got to get to the gym and try this, because I'd not been to the gym. I literally joined the gym to do strongman. There was no I'm joining the gym to just be a bodybuilder. I was like, I want to try strongman after watching this Britain's Strongest Man, 2004, I think it was. So I joined the gym after the Christmas then. And then in the summer 2005, I did my first show. Had no strongman experience whatsoever, but I did okay. Ended up making a couple of mistakes. Went on to another show where I came second. And then I found a Midlands qualifier, so like a regional qualifier for Britain's Strongest Man. I went and won that and got to Britain's Strongest Man 2007, and then World's Strongest Man 2008. So from 2005 is when I stepped foot in the gym to 2008, I made my first World's Strongest Man.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That was, fast progress. I mean, it was a little bit easier back then than it is now. There's not quite as much strength in depth as there is now. But I was just naturally very strong, and, I was always fascinated by strength and power, and, Arnold Schwarzenegger films, Sylvester Stallone, those kind of guys. I think we've all been inspired by people like that. And then, I think it was big in America as well. We used to have gladiators in the UK. Seeing those,
we had American Gladiators.
I used to watch it thinking they were massive. Now I look at them and I realize I'm way bigger than them. As a young kid, you're looking up at these guys thinking they're huge. But just always been inspired by stuff like that.
I actually tried to become a contestant on that show.
Did you?
Yeah, they blackballed me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, dude, you'd have been too much for the Gladiators to handle. They're like, shit, man. We have to make it to our Gladiators have a chance,
I always thought I've done all the tests, but then it's when you come to the eliminator at the end, I'd be screwed.
No, you'd be fine on the eliminator. No, it was interesting because I made it through all the tests up to the last one, and then I got to do it twice, and they're like, "Oh, nope, you just missed it." And I'm like, my hand was on there. I look down, and then I see you hit the button, and they're like, "No, sorry." And you're just like, "Oh, okay, gotcha." Thanks.
Yeah. That was a setup, brother.
I always
they wanted no part of me after I did the Powerball. Nobody could stop me from scoring, and nobody could score. I was truck sticking people, just drilling them. It was hilarious.
Could you imagine a bunch of strongmen on something like the Gauntlet or something like that?
Oh my God!
5 strongmen.
Oh my God!
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
I always thought if I was about 200 pounds lighter, I'd do Ninja Warrior.
Oh, yeah, that's
brutal.
Yeah,
that's pretty tough.
Probably 150, 200 pounds lighter.
Yeah,
I love
your grip's definitely good enough.
Yeah, that's about
it.
Well, brother, so we kind of turn.
Cool.
Yeah, the course is nasty. So I was going to say, as we kind of start turning the corner into talking more about, you've accomplished so much, and you've gone from entertaining the world as an athlete to now entertaining the world with your YouTube channel. You're clearly leaving your mark. You're a legend. You're a living legend. Mm-hmm. What is it what is the legacy that Big Laws is going to leave behind? Obviously, when you're a competitor versus when you're retired, that tends to change a lot. So the fact that you are retired, we're going to get probably a much different answer than if you were still competing. But I would love to hear, what is it that when you're dead and gone, what is it that you want to be remembered for?
And I'm sure you guys get this as well. It's amazing winning titles. It's a brilliant thing to do, and it means a lot to yourself. But I get more pleasure out of the messages I get from people telling me that I've inspired them, whether it's to get in the gym, come back from illnesses, come back from injury, whatever it might be, and it happens more and more often, especially these days, which is that feeling of feeling like you've inspired someone is what I want to kind of continue to do. I've got a decent reputation as being a decent person, and I try and be kind to people and look after up and coming athletes and stuff like that. I want them to realize you don't have to be some kind of meathead to be good at what we do. Because I think a lot of people have this preconcept like vision of what we are. And I love sort of changing people's opinions. I've been to many exhibitions for sponsors and stuff like that. You go to these corporate events and they're all dressed up in their suits and they see you there with a beard and the bald head and, big old traps that we've all got. And straight away they think a certain thing, but they start talking to you and suddenly they're like, they go from this standoff position to suddenly they want to engage with you and, realize you're actually a decent human being. I get more out of that than just kind of winning shows and stuff. It's great. Like I said, I had my time competing and I loved it, but just being involved in the sport, still inspiring people. I love coaching. I love helping people get better, seeing people improve. That's a really important thing for me. It's something I'm going to continue to do. Is got a number of good athletes, all various different levels, from elite level athletes to complete beginners, and it doesn't matter who they are. If they improve, I love it. You sort of you go along with it, and I know you two do as well. But that more than anything for me, just keep inspiring people, keep proving to people that don't listen to the naysayers. Just keep pushing.
Yes,
keep doing the best that you can do. Never give up, and inspire my kids as well. That's another important thing for me. Make sure they realize whatever it is they want to do in life, they can achieve it. And my daughter probably gets fed up of me going on at her, but I want her to believe she can do anything. I don't want her to, I want her to open her eyes and realize you don't have to just go and get a normal job. There's so many opportunities out there, and, just work hard and achieve your goals. And, that's the main focus for me now. Keep working hard. I work way harder than I used to as an athlete now. Way harder. I was a lazy bum as an athlete, but these days I've become a workaholic, but I love it. It's keeping me mentally in a much better place, and I'm doing well these days. I'm mentally in a strong position, and that's a great place to be.
Well, brother, there's no question you're a huge inspiration. Like we said right from the beginning, everything from recovering from injury to entertaining people when you're in the sport, to do what you do now, and the fact that your true interest at this point in your life is to inspire and better people that you come in contact with. That's amazing, and my hat's off to you, brother. Nick, do you have anything else for Big Loss?
Same. It's just amazing. Not only do you do all these things, you're a good parent. You're a good person. You're a good parent, and that's saying something, because being a good parent is not an easy job. It's probably one of the hardest things you could ever do. And if anything, there's a lot of strongman competitors that are actually good parents, and it's great that Laws is one of them. And I got nothing but respect for Laws, because, man, we banged heads so many times.
We've had way too many battles not to have respect for each other, buddy.
I absolutely loved and hated competing against you. I loved it because I knew I had to push myself with everything I had to make sure I kept up or was able to just sneak by. And it was just always a pleasure and an honor, but I always knew I was going to get the best out of you too. And if we sat around and made each other better, and that was freaking great.
How many times how many years in a row were we like looking at the groups for World's Strongest Man? It's like, damn, I've got Nick Best again.
At least four, maybe. At least four.
It was
at least four.
It has been a pleasure. It's weird. I get clients of mine that are so scared to compete, and they're worried that they're going to lose and stuff like that. And I look back on my career, and I've come first and I've come last in shows and everything in between. And, I sit back now, I don't worry about the times that I came last. I look back and I appreciate I had an amazing career, loved the wins, loved the experiences, competing against yourself, Nick, and many other guys as well have become good friends of mine. It's, you don't sit there worrying about the times that you lost. You can recall cool stories that you had together, great battles, like you said, we pushed each other to be better at what we love doing. And that's, I think that's an amazing thing. Without these other athletes, I wouldn't have been as good as I got. So it's I said to Terry Hollins, actually, because a lot of people made this like rivalry between me and Terry, but I genuinely thank Terry because he was so good, it made me be better. If he wasn't there, I wouldn't have been the athlete that I was. And, you know, same with guys like Mark Felix. You always battle these guys that are, you know, your local rivals, if you like. But I kind of look back at the end of my career and pleased with what I've achieved. We maybe always want more, but there's certainly no regrets. I've done very well, and I'm more than happy to have had the battles that we had. I enjoyed every moment of it.
Yeah. Well, brother, please continue to do what you do because you do a great job of it. And we're really, really pleased that you took the time to come on here with us today. We want to thank you for your time. And
Pleasure.
maybe down the road, we'd love to have you back on a second time because this seems like just the tip of the iceberg of Big Laws.
Definitely, guys. It's great to talk to you both.
You got it. Thank you.
It's great to see you, buddy.
That's it. Well, this is it's another episode of Legends of Iron, everyone. This is Big Laws, and he is here making a difference, and we love to see it. We'll see you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.